Practice starts with simplified techniques. Introduction. Simplification of Jishan Breathing Technique. Successful simplification. Jishan Breathing Technique Breathing. Chen Fei took a deep breath. Jishan Breathing Technique Experience Value +1. Chapter 1. Breathing can make you stronger. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Pinyin County. Practicing muscles, bones, and skin externally, and practicing one breath internally. In our Jishan Fist School, everyone is treated equally, and even precious internal training techniques are taught to you. Therefore, as long as you work hard enough, better and stronger techniques are waiting for you. Bai Hong, the senior brother of Jishan Boxing School, was shouting loudly, while the people in the school were listening attentively. In the corner, a small and dark person, although also holding his head high at the moment, looked closely at his gaze, but it was dull and numb. With his eyes closed and opened, Chen Fei had been inexplicably in this world for more than 10 days. Only by absorbing the memories of the original body can we know that this is a world similar to ancient blue stars. But there are warriors coming and going here. Killing an ordinary person is like pinching a chicken cub. Chen Fei is now a miscellaneous worker in a medical clinic, not even an apprentice. He usually works as a laborer in the clinic. Learn some medical skills. There is nothing at all that will give you a chance. Stealing learning. If discovered, disabled on the spot, and then self-destructive. I am unwilling to be like this for a lifetime. I am obedient and hardworking in the hospital, hoping to win favor and learn some skills. Unfortunately, all the miscellaneous workers have this kind of thinking, which leads them to doubt their own lives. Helpless, the original body gathered some silver and came to the Jishan Fist Hall to pay respects, hoping to change their fate. The Jishan Fist Hall is very straightforward. I learned a breathing technique and a set of matching boxing techniques as my apprentice. After obtaining my original body, I regarded it as a treasure and worked hard to learn it in my spare time. I had been practicing martial arts for 3 months, but before I could even get started with my boxing and breathing techniques, I fell ill from overwork and passed away. Chen Fei has received his original memory and naturally has a keen eye for martial arts. He has also practiced for a period of time. But it has been proven that there is a reason why I have been practicing martial arts for 3 months and have been unable to get started for a long time. That's because talent is really not good. Chen Fei inherited this body and found that his talent was not much better. Relying on modern thinking to earn some money and become a wealthy family. Chen Fei originally had this idea, but working as a laborer in a medical clinic, he had signed a contract and had to work there for a full 20 years. If you want to leave, it is not impossible, but you must pay a high amount of silver to terminate the contract. And all your extra gains are from the hospital. If there is any hiding, once discovered, you will be disabled. It's quite inhumane, quite brutal. Such a terrifying medical clinic, the original owner had to spend everything to get in. At least the medical clinic only allows you to be a horse and a cow for a lifetime, while in other places, you are not even given the opportunity to be a horse and a cow. Until just now, an imaginary panel appeared in front of Chen Fei. Name: Chen Fei, occupation: Nun, practice. Jishan Fist, Jishan Breathing Technique, realm: Nun, discovering martial arts. Does it cost 1 or 2 silver to simplify Jishan Fist? Discovering techniques. Do you spend 1 or 2 silver to simplify the Jishan Breathing Technique? Some information about Chen Fei is displayed on the panel, and 2 reminders are constantly flashing below the panel. Chen Fei just lost his mind and kept looking at this suddenly appearing panel. What are you doing in a daze? You haven't started practicing boxing yet. Bai Hong arrived in front of Chen Fei at an unknown time and shouted loudly, "If you don't get started with Jishan Fist again, you'll have to continue paying next month to come to the gym. You should know this." Chen Fei regained his senses and dared not say much. He intensified his practice. Bai Hong glanced a few times and couldn't help but shake his head. He knew Chen Fei's background and came to the Jishan Fist School to fight for it. Now it seems that it is ultimately the fate of ordinary people and cannot be changed. An hour later, Chen Fei left the gym sweating profusely, with no other gain except hunger. In 3 or 2 steps, Chen Fei rushed back to the clinic and greeted several familiar servants before hiding in the house. This is the Datong Pu, where nearly 10 people usually sleep, and various sour and refreshing flavors constantly seep into Chen Fei's nose. Fortunately, Chen Fei had already gotten used to it. You know, the first time she woke up, Chen Fei almost didn't get pouted by the smell. 1 or 2 silver, not so much money. Chen Fei sat on the bunk, with a furrowed brow. The function of this panel is still not well understood by Chen Fei, because no matter how Chen Fei asks questions, focuses, and silently recites various sesame seeds to open the door, the panel remains unchanged and there is no response. Only those 2 prompt texts kept flashing, urging Chen Fei to pay quickly. But Chen Fei used to put all the silver he had accumulated in order to go to the Jishan Fist Hall, but now in just a few months, he hasn't even saved 1 or 2 silver. We must find a way to raise this money. Various thoughts flashed through Chen Fei's mind, and he remembered that he was hiding a herb outside. For months ago, there was a shortage of herbs in the clinic, and a group of laborers followed the herb pickers up the mountain to collect herbs. That herb was stolen and hidden by Genshin Impact, and it was also the time he encountered a strange situation on the mountain where 3 people died. It was only then that Genshin Impact made up his mind to practice martial arts. I have heard that cultivating martial arts to a certain level can combat monsters. Even if it is impossible to confront, if other people in the same group have weaker popularity and blood than you, Strange will still seek out others first. Recently, the outside of the county town has not been peaceful, and the medical clinic occasionally lacks herbs. Therefore, it is likely to become the norm to go to the mountains to collect herbs every few months. Chen Fei walked out of the house with the intention of borrowing money from other servants, but 1 or 2 silver coins were too big for them, and no one would lend them to Chen Fei. If we borrow money from several people separately, it may still arouse suspicion. Chen Fei hesitated for a moment and left the clinic. Half an hour later, Chen Fei received the herb and did not lose it. At the same time, wearing a bamboo hat and covering his face, he secretly sold the herb in a market for 1 or 2 silver coins and 51 copper coins. Chen Fei didn't dare to go back to the clinic and flipped into an abandoned courtyard in the county. Simplify the Jishan breathing method. Chen Fei silently recited in his heart. In the next moment, 1 or 2 silver coins in Chen Fei's sleeve disappeared, and the panel in his sight flickered slightly. Simplified Jishan breathing method. Simplified successfully. Jishan breathing method breathing. Breathing. Before Chen Fei could turn his mind, he suddenly saw a change in the information representing himself on the panel. Name: Chen Fei, occupation: warrior, practice: Jishan Fist, Jishan Breathing Technique, beginner 1/100, realm: none. As Chen Fei continued to breathe naturally, a warm sensation spread throughout his body, and at the same time, the number behind the introduction of breathing techniques continued to rise. In just a moment, it has become an entry. Level 10 out of 100. A lot of insights about the Jishan breathing technique naturally came to mind. Can you practice with this breath? Chen Fei's whole body was shocked and numb at the moment. Would this simplification of functionality be too much? Jishan breathing method is the use of special breathing methods to mobilize the body's internal organs and strengthen the body. Now, after simplification, it has turned into breathing, which can improve the proficiency of the martial arts. So perverted, Chen Fei said, he really likes it. Bang! Chen Fei was about to continue studying breathing techniques when the gate of the courtyard was suddenly kicked open by someone, and the group rushed in with great force. Chui steward, it's him. Sha Daxin pointed at Chen Fei and said, I just saw him holding a herb and selling it for money, and then he came here. Chen Fei's eyebrows furrowed slightly. Sha Daxin had a conflict with his original body before, and he didn't expect to be caught selling herbs. Or rather, this person may have been staring at Chen Fei normally, and now they have finally found an opportunity. Search yourself. Cui San waved his hand and several miscellaneous workers immediately rushed towards Chen Fei. Chen Fei did not resist and allowed these people to be searched. In a moment, these laborers had already thrown all the silver on Chen Fei's body onto the ground, only 51 copper coins. Didn't you say he sold 1 or 2 silver for money? Cui San frowned and turned to look at Sha Daxin. He must be hiding in the yard. Sha Daxin felt a little flustered, but immediately thought of the reason and walked a few steps to Chen Fei. He grabbed Chen Fei's collar and shouted loudly, "Chen Fei, your matter has already happened. Hurry up and take out the money, otherwise it won't be so easy later." "I don't sell any herbs, don't mistreat people," Chen Fei said innocently as he broke Sha Daxin's hand open. "Cui steward, this money must be in this yard. As long as we search carefully, we can definitely find it." Sha Daxin glared fiercely at Chen Fei and turned to look at Cui Sanjie. Cui Sanjie didn't speak, but glanced at the dilapidated courtyard. The ground was covered in dust, and the only footprints were those they had stepped on. There were no abnormalities in other places. "What are you doing here?" Cui San looked at Chen Fei. "If you can't practice martial arts, just calm down here," Chen Fei whispered. Cui San grinned again. He had heard that the worker in front of him had gone to the Jishan Fist school to apprentice, but more than 3 months had passed and nothing had been achieved. "Sha Daxin, come over here," Cui San continued. "Ah, Cui is in charge." Sha Daxin didn't dare to delay and quickly walked up to Cui Sanjie. Pop. With a muffled sound, Sha Daxin collapsed on the side with a bewildered face, instinctively covering his cheek, which was already swollen and red. Sha Daxin wriggled his mouth and several teeth fell out. "Next time, don't come to me for things without evidence, remember." Cui San looked at Sha Daxin calmly. "I know. I know." Sha Daxin looked at Cui Sanjie's expression and quickly nodded in fear. Cui San shook his head again, feeling bored for a while. He turned around and left the courtyard, while the other servants quickly followed. Sha Daxin stood up and looked at Chen Fei with malice. Cui San didn't dare to complain and could only vent all his anger on Chen Fei. "You're lucky this time." Sha Daxin stared at Chen Fei, but Chen Fei didn't respond. "The 1 or 2 silver coins have long disappeared and cannot be found. As for the person who went to find that shop to confront. How could the medical clinic work so hard for 1 or 2 silver coins?" "Humph." Without receiving a response, Sha Daxin's anger grew even stronger. He gave Chen Fei a cold glance and turned around to leave the courtyard. Half an hour later, Chen Fei returned to the large shop in the clinic and looked at his own panel. Name: Chen Fei, occupation: warrior, practice: Jishan Fist, Jishan Breathing Technique, proficient in 930/1000, realm. Warrior, 1 out of 100, the Jishan Breathing Technique has become proficient, and each breath gives the body a more noticeable sensation. At the same time, the realm also changed and became a warrior. Chen Fei heard from the senior brother of the martial arts school that martial artists are ordinary people who have just started practicing martial arts. The true achievement should be reaching the realm of practicing skin. Reaching this level will truly widen the distance between oneself and ordinary people. At the same time, Jishan Boxing Club will fully accept you and become a member of Jishan Boxing Club. While Chen Fei was silently studying, the panel underwent another change. Practice: Jishan Breathing Technique, perfect 1/10,000, realm. Warrior, 2 out of 100, the warmth in his body seemed to have become more pronounced, and his level had also risen a bit. At the same time, Chen Fei's stomach began to growl. The body is gradually getting stronger, and naturally it needs to start consuming energy. The clinic only provides 2 meals on weekdays, so it's definitely not worth thinking about fish and meat. However, it's still okay to have enough to eat, so the clinic doesn't have to compromise on this. Chen Fei deliberately ate a lot more, but in the middle of the night, he still woke up from hunger. After looking at the panel, the breathing technique is still in a satisfactory state, but the progress is already a few thousand, and it is estimated that we will be able to overcome it tomorrow. I just don't know if there are any other realms after perfection. At the same time, my cultivation also increased by a few points. According to estimates, it may not take 20 days to reach the realm of practicing leather and become a true warrior by searching for Chen Fei at the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com. At that time, whether staying at the clinic or going to the Jishan Fist Gym, Chen Fei had a bargaining chip to choose from. During the day, Chen Fei was full of energy and worked hard. Not only because his body became stronger, which improved Chen Fei's physical strength, but also because his life finally had some hope. Every breath can bring strength, what a wonderful thing. At the same time, looking at the occasionally jumping numbers on the panel also gives a great sense of achievement. Before noon, the Jishan breathing technique reached its peak. Practice. Jishan breathing technique, great perfection, there was no room for further growth, and Chen Fei's various insights about the Jishan breathing method were constantly swirling in his mind. At this level of cultivation, Chen Fei has almost reached the level of creating this martial arts entity back then. In the Jishan Fist School, no one is likely to practice this breathing technique to the fullest. After all, this is just an introductory breathing technique, and there is no need to stick to it. Chen Fei did not stubbornly kowtow, it was only natural that he reached the pinnacle of his cultivation. The round and layered breathing technique gave Chen Fei a more pronounced feeling, and the display on the panel also confirmed Chen Fei's guess. Originally, it may take 20 days to reach the realm of skin training, but now it is estimated that 10 days is completely enough, which is twice as fast in terms of time. Chen Fei's appetite began to gradually increase, but he did not receive scolding, and even received praise from one of the managers a few days ago. Compared to other lifeless miscellaneous workers, Chen Fei's recent attitude has been noticeably positive. The difference in spirit and energy made the steward quite satisfied, which indirectly showed his attention to Chen Fei. The other miscellaneous workers envied him and became quite close to Chen Fei. Only Sha Daxin in the corner looked coldly at Chen Fei. Chapter 2. Anti-Killing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 7 or 8 days have passed, and Chen Fei's previously thin body has slowly grown, with some muscles gradually emerging. He no longer looks so thin and deceitful. Just as Chen Fei was waiting for his realm to break through to the realm of skin training, the clinic suddenly notified him that he wanted to go to the mountain outside the city to collect herbs. The next morning, a group of miscellaneous workers from the clinic left the city carrying medicine baskets and arrived at Pinyin Mountain. Recently, the outside of the city has not been very peaceful, but the medical clinic is short of herbs. It is not possible to refuse to arrange for miscellaneous workers to leave the city. Everyone has a task indicator for picking herbs, and once completed, they can go down the mountain. If we can't finish it, we must go back in 3 days, but we can't escape a beating. The group dispersed into the vast Pinyin Mountain and quickly disappeared. Chen Fei walked a stick of incense and saw a medicinal herb. He couldn't help but joyfully step forward to pick it. With the continuous improvement of cultivation, Chen Fei has not only improved his physical strength recently, but also greatly enhanced his sensitivity to facial features. At this moment, although Chen Fei is picking herbs, his ears and eyes are constantly paying attention to the surrounding environment, so as not to be unaware of any danger. Although there are not many large wild beasts in Pinyin Mountain, there are many poisonous insects and snakes. Every time they pick herbs, many workers are injured or even killed. Halfway through the herb picking, Chen Fei's expression suddenly changed and he pounced forward. The next moment, an arrow was inserted into Chen Fei's original position, and at this moment, the arrow was still trembling slightly, with extremely strong force. If Chen Fei hadn't avoided it just now, he might have been penetrated by arrows. Chen Fei hid behind a big tree, holding a firewood knife, his anger overflowing. If he had acted slower just now, he might have been slaughtered by someone at the moment. The action was quite fast, a laugh burst out. This kid has been studying at Jishan boxing school for a while, so he's a bit quick-witted, Sha Daxin's voice rang out. There are two things to do. If you go to the other side, he won't be able to run today. No good, this kid is going to run, catch up. Niu Kuo frowned slightly and was about to raise his bow and arrow, only to find that Chen Fei was always running between various trees, making it difficult to lock in. Although Niu Kuo is a hunter with some archery skills, he is ultimately only at the level of an ordinary person. Chen Fei is about to break through now, and both his physical strength and sensitivity are much stronger than ordinary people. Therefore, running at this moment was a helpless task for Niu Kuo. Chen Fei, why do you have the courage to run like a woman? Come and hit me, come and kill me. Sha Daxin shouted loudly. Chen Fei did not respond and ran with great strides, but in just 15 minutes, he shook off the two people behind him. Chen Fei's expression was cold and gloomy. It was impossible to just settle this matter, but Niu Kuo had bows and arrows. With Chen Fei's current strength, he could not break through head-on unless his realm was elevated. Thinking of this, Chen Fei looked at his own panel. Name: Chen Fei, occupation: warrior, practice: Jishan fist, beginner, Jishan breathing technique, great perfection, realm: warrior, 99 out of 100, I'm about to improve. Chen Fei's expression was slightly uplifted. Originally estimated to be 10 days, now it seems that it will be even earlier. And just now I ran and breathed heavily, as if the speed of my realm improvement was a bit faster. Chen Fei thought of the Niu Kuo outfit just now, which could be a hunter from Pinyin Mountain. Perhaps he could rely on his tracks to find himself. Chen Fei also didn't stay in place and ran in another direction. Run for a while and take a break. Half an hour later, Chen Fei stopped because he felt his body undergoing drastic changes. At the next moment, the sound of muscles and bones ringing together emanated from Chen Fei's body. Chen Fei involuntarily raised his head, and a wave of pain emanated from within his body, followed by a tingling sensation piercing through his skin and flesh. Fortunately, this feeling only lasted for a moment before stopping. A sense of strength surged in his body, and Chen Fei instinctively clenched his fist. Realm: refining skin, 1/1000, the panel clearly displayed Chen Fei's current state. Chen Fei looked around and some subtle sounds drifted into his ears, allowing him to see further away. Chen Fei jumped a few times in place, not sure if it was due to the panel or his full breathing technique. As soon as he broke through, Chen Fei had perfect control over his own strength. With physical exertion and turning, everything goes well. Facing the past self at this moment, one can easily knock it down with just one punch. As for Niu Kuo's bow and arrow, it's just the strength and archery of ordinary people. Hundreds of meters away. This kid is also too good at running. When we catch him, we must torture him first. Sha Daxin gritted his teeth and said coldly. It's not easy to torture someone. I'll cut his skin and pour some honey into the wound to ensure he's comfortable. Niu Kuo laughed loudly. I'm sorry to trouble Uncle Niu this time, Sha Daxin said kindly. I've received your money, so it's only right to do something. Niu Kuo didn't care and looked ahead, saying, although that kid can run, he must be on edge at this moment. We'll slowly follow behind and always exhaust him. I'm afraid he'll run back to the clinic. I would rather he ran down the mountain, but it would be easier to intercept him, Niu Kuo said. In his eyes, killing someone at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com is much simpler than killing a wild beast. Uncle Niu is still impressive. Sha Daxin smiled seductively. Ha ha ha, if there's such a thing again in the future, keep looking. Shoo. Before Niu Kuo could finish speaking, his face suddenly changed and he rolled to the side. A stone the size of a bull flew over his head. Niu Kuo stood up and was about to lift his bow and arrow when a human figure appeared in front of him at some point. He kicked the bow and arrow in his hand away, causing Niu Kuo to fall backwards involuntarily. Chen Fei. Before Sha Daxin could understand what had happened, he saw Chen Fei appear and kicked Niu Kuo away, instinctively chopping the firewood knife in his hand towards Chen Fei. Bang! Chen Fei kicked Sha Daxin in the chest, and with a muffled sound, Sha Daxin spurted blood from his mouth. He flew backwards several meters and collided with a big tree, slipping and sitting on the ground. Young Xia, this is a misunderstanding. As the rabbit rose and fell, the situation immediately flipped, and Niu Kuo shouted loudly. However, Chen Fei didn't say a word and walked up to Niu Kuo with a machete in his hand. Niu Kuo saw Chen Fei making such a decisive decision, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. A handful of lime appeared in his hand and flew towards Chen Fei, while a dagger appeared in his other hand and stabbed Chen Fei. Shit! With both hands flying into mid-air, Niu Kuo stared blankly at his arms. In the next moment, his neck hurt, and the world turned upside down, eventually returning to darkness. Chen Fei turned expressionless and walked towards Sha Daxin. Killing someone, Chen Fei, you must die easily. It seemed that Sha Daxin knew he couldn't survive, and he cursed loudly. Chen Fei waved his sword and withdrew it, while Sha Daxin collapsed to the side. Chapter 3. Broken Temples. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Fei searched the bodies of the two and found only some copper coins. The sky began to drizzle slightly, and Chen Fei glanced around and ran towards the southeast. As night fell, a hint of meat fragrance permeated a dilapidated temple, occasionally accompanied by the sound of conversation. It is rumored that there was a deity born in Pinyin Mountain, who was invincible and capable. There is an additional immortal temple on Pinyin Mountain behind, but it is not very effective. After only a few years, it was completely abandoned and became a temporary resting place for people who stayed overnight on Pinyin Mountain. Chen Fei carefully flipped the rabbit meat on the branch, and luckily, Chen Fei hit a rabbit. At this moment, several servants in the clinic chatted and occasionally glanced at the rabbit meat, their eyes filled with longing. The food in the clinic doesn't have fish or meat. If you want to eat meat, you have to go out and buy it yourself. But with the wages of miscellaneous workers, I can't taste the meat and fish once a month. Knock, knock. The sound of knocking on the door rang, and one of the servants stepped forward to open it. The cold wind blew in, and Chen Fei instinctively glanced outside the door. His eyes narrowed slightly and he withdrew his gaze. Great, there's rabbit meat, but I'm starving to death. Chi Chun couldn't help but be overjoyed when he saw the roasted rabbit. Are you the only one? I thought the other few people were with you too. The servant who opened the door looked out and couldn't help but wonder. I don't know either. Chi Chun shook her head and sat on the ground, looking at the rabbit meat that was almost cooked. Pai li pa. There is still water vapor in the firewood, and at this moment there is a slight burst of sound. Seemingly feeling a bit quiet, Chi Chun spoke up and said, "Guess what happened to me today? After you hear this, please make sure to call me out." What's up? Let's hear it. The other servants were piqued with interest. Don't worry, I happen to have something to say. Chen Fei suddenly spoke out, do you know how I hit this rabbit today? Everyone couldn't help but turn their heads to look at Chen Fei, the faint fragrance of meat wafting at the tip of their noses, making their mood even more restless. Chen Fei stood up and looked at the crowd, saying, the rabbit is quick-witted. If there is any wind or grass, it will immediately run away. Therefore, when you see the rabbit, don't make a sound, slowly approach it, and continue like this. Shit. A bright light flashed through the dilapidated temple, and Chen stared blankly at Chen Fei. In the next moment, Chen's head rolled down to the ground. Ah! The other servants exclaimed in surprise and looked at Chen Fei in disbelief. Chen Fei killed someone, and in front of them, he directly killed someone. The key is that they have no idea why Chen Fei wanted to kill Chen, which is the most frightening thing. Chen Fei remained silent, looking at the position of Chen's neck, where there was no normal appearance of flesh and blood. Everyone, run! Chen Fei let out a loud roar, and before leaving, he picked up Chen's purse with a firewood knife, then rushed out of the dilapidated temple without looking back. Jia jia jia. A gloomy laughter rang out in the dilapidated temple, and the other servants woke up from a dream. Looking at the headless body standing up, they suddenly understood something and ran out of the temple with frightened faces. Chen Fei's face darkened, and he didn't expect to really stumble in Pinyin Mountain. Fortunately, Chen Fei broke through to the realm of practicing leather during the day, which gave him some sense of this eerie aura. Otherwise, I will continue to stay in the dilapidated temple and I don't know what will happen afterwards. The most important thing now is to return to Pinyin County overnight. Strange things rarely happen in the county town of Pinyin County, and it is rumored that there are treasures in the county government to suppress them. Chen Fei doesn't know the truth, but now he just wants to go back quickly to be safer. Chen Fei, my neck hurts so much. Your knife cut me so much. A faint voice came from behind, and Chen Fei's expression couldn't help but change. Isn't it true that after practicing martial arts, one's qi and blood are strong, but strangely, they will first pursue others with weak qi and blood? Why are you chasing me so quickly? Unless all the other servants die. Chen Fei ran hard, and after practicing in the leather realm, his strength and speed increased significantly. If he were to chase after an ordinary person, he would have already shaken off at this moment. But at this moment, no matter how Chen Fei ran, the cold and gloomy atmosphere from behind kept dragging Chen Fei. The Jishan Fist School once said that a warrior's qi and blood can fight against strangeness. I have no realm now, but I know very little about the mobilization of qi and blood. Chen Fei looked at the beginner's Jishan fist on the panel and flipped out Chen's purse just now. There were actually more than 2 liang of silver inside, which was somewhat unexpected for Chen Fei. Panel, simplify Jishan fist. Simplify in Jishan fist. Simplify successfully. Jishan fist, wave your hand. Wave your hand. Chen Fei had not yet understood what waving his hand meant when suddenly the realization of Jishan fist appeared in his mind, and all the insights came at an extremely fast pace. Chen Fei instinctively looked at the panel. Practice. Jishan fist, beginner 23 out of 100, the number 23 turned into 24 in the blink of an eye, and continued to jump up. Chen Fei looked at his 2 arms, which were running fiercely at the moment. Aren't they just swinging? Chen Fei exclaimed, wow, this simplification is a bit like breathing techniques. Chen Fei, do you know where my boss went to find Shuyuan? www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Chen's voice rang directly behind Chen Fei's ear, as if it was pressed against his back, and he could even feel the gas spewing out during his speech. Chen Fei's face changed and he punched backwards. The various mysteries of Jishan fist circulated in his heart, and Chen Fei's fist temperature quickly rose. Bang! With a muffled sound, Chen let out a scream, and the area where he had been hit in the chest was now pitch black. There's a play. Chen Fei's eyes lit up slightly, but he didn't run away. He held a firewood knife and charged back towards Chen. After entering Jishan fist, Chen Fei had a rough understanding of the use of qi and blood. At this moment, he injected it into the firewood knife in his hand, and after a few cuts, Chen's limbs were directly separated. How could you be so strong? Chen screamed mournfully, but Chen Fei remained motionless and kept waving his knife. Don't kill me, even if you kill me, you won't survive. Chen Fei's movements paused slightly, and Chen must be just a minor. There may really be some big strangeness behind it. But if we don't kill Chen at this moment, can Chen spare Chen Fei? Stop, I'll tell you how to survive. Chen shouted loudly, but it was Chen Fei's blade that greeted him. At first, Chen could still shout, but later on, as the flesh and blood melted away, he could no longer say anything. At a certain moment, Chen Fei, who was wielding his sword mechanically, discovered that Chen had turned into a ball of flying ash. So strange is how it kills. Chen Fei muttered to himself, just as he was about to turn around, suddenly his wrist felt a sharp pain. Chen Fei lifted his wrist and a thin black line appeared there. Without much time to think about the sudden appearance of this thin line, Chen Fei ran towards the location of Pinyin County. Half an hour later, Chen Fei finally saw the city wall of Pinyin County. Chapter 4. Clearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The city gate of Pinyin County has been closed, so it is definitely impossible to enter the city at this time. Fortunately, there are also some merchants from outside the city who are currently camping and resting because they cannot enter the city. Chen Fei rubbed against the fire and listened to the low voices around him, slowly relaxing his tense mood. There were a lot of things happening today. If it weren't for a breakthrough in strength, Chen Fei would have been lying straight on Pinyin Mountain at this moment. Thinking of this, Chen Fei couldn't help but look at his own panel. Name: Chen Fei, Occupation. Warrior, Skills. Jishan Fist, Mastery 307/1000, Jishan Breathing Technique, Great Perfection, Realm. Refining Skin, 2/1000, Jishan Fist has reached a proficient level, and at this moment, some insights about fist techniques are still echoing in Chen Fei's mind. It can only be said that this simplification function is truly powerful. The progress of practicing the skin realm has not changed. Chen Fei frowned slightly when he saw his cultivation level. Before the breakthrough, the perfect Jishan breathing technique could give a cultivation increase of about 10 points. It has been half a day since Chen Fei broke through, and surprisingly, it has only risen by 1 point. Has the extreme mountain breathing technique been unable to keep up with the improvement of cultivation level? Chen Fei couldn't help but think of this idea in his mind. After a moment of contemplation, it was probably possible. After all, this breathing method is really basic. At the Jishan Boxing Club, students can be taught without any hindrance. If it's really some clever breathing technique, wouldn't it be something that can be exchanged for tuition fees? By observing for a few days, you can determine how much cultivation can be improved by the extreme mountain breathing technique. Chen Fei shifted his gaze away and did not sleep. He had just stumbled upon something strange, and even though he had already reached the foot of Pinyin County, Chen Fei dared not fall asleep. Chen Fei didn't waste time either, sitting by the campfire and gently waving his hand. The realization of Jishan Fist slowly appeared in Chen Fei's mind as he waved his hand. This kind of effort has a sense of reward, which makes Chen Fei involuntarily immerse himself. The people around looked at Chen Fei with some strange expressions, completely puzzled. This young man had been waving his hands all along. What was he doing? He had a disease. Thinking of this, some people couldn't help but distance themselves slightly from Chen Fei. When a person is immersed in something, time always passes by extremely quickly. It seems that in the blink of an eye, the sky has already brightened slightly, and the city gate of Pinyin County has also opened. Chen Fei followed the crowd into Pinyin County and immediately rushed to the Qingjing Medical Center. So, last night you were the only one who survived, and everyone else died. Cui San looked at Chen Fei with a somewhat unpleasant expression. Although miscellaneous labor is not valuable, it still belongs to the assets of the medical institution. Now there are more than 10 deaths, and the key is that the herbs have not been collected yet, which is extremely troublesome for the medical clinic. After being questioned by the host, I'm afraid he will have to bear some responsibility. The lives and deaths of others are unknown to me, but I didn't see anyone else last night at the city gate, Chen Fei whispered. Everyone else is dead, why can you live well? A hoarse voice sounded, with questioning in its words. Chen Fei looked up and saw Pu Liao, the guardian of the hospital. He arched his hand and said, I broke through to the realm of skin training, so I escaped this calamity. Chen Fei spoke and punched, making a dull sound in the air. The expressions of the people around were slightly moving, and this punching force was beyond the reach of ordinary people. Their only surprise was that among the miscellaneous workers, someone had elevated their martial arts cultivation to the realm of practicing leather. Although the realm of practicing skin is not worth mentioning, it has already surpassed ordinary people. Without a certain level of martial arts talent, it is really impossible to achieve it. By practicing the skin realm and being careful, one can indeed avoid some eerie situations. Not bad. Chui San nodded and his expression softened slightly. The appearance of the skin training realm in the miscellaneous service slightly offset the losses of the miscellaneous service. After all, miscellaneous workers can continue to recruit, but it is much more difficult to recruit martial artists in the skin realm, and the value of the two is different. I will report this matter to my master, and as for you, you can become a nurse in the hospital in the future. Chui San continued speaking, turned his head to look at Pu Liao, and said, having left his status as a laborer, he is also eligible to have access to some of the traditions of our Qingjing medical school. Pu Liao, teach him our Qingjing breathing techniques and moves. Okay. Pu Liao nodded and glanced at Chen Fei, but didn't speak again. Chen Fei couldn't help but smile on his face. Before returning, Chen Fei had considered whether to continue staying at the Qingjing medical school or go to the Jishan Fist school. By reaching the realm of leather training, Chen Fei had the right to choose. The only thing to consider is the pros and cons of both. Staying at the Qingjing Medical Center allows for some exposure to the heritage of the medical center. Although it may not be advanced, it is still better than the Jishan Breathing Technique. But staying at the Qingjing Medical Center means being a servant, and there are also some restrictions on freedom. Go to Jishan Fist Hall, it's free enough. It's like a half-sect relationship there, and compared to the medical school, the inheritance should not be inferior. But leaving the clinic, Chen Fei had to pay a high termination fee. It took nearly 4 months for Chen Fei to reach the realm of skin training, and this talent is only a mediocre presence in the Jishan Fist School. Jishan Quanguan will not pay this termination fee on behalf of Chen Fei. He will go to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, and Chen Fei himself does not have the money. The main reason for Chen Fei's decision to stay in the clinic was that he could learn certain medical skills and alchemy within the clinic, which was something Chen Fei valued more. After Chui Sanjia and others asked Chen Fei a few more questions, they left one after another. I haven't had much time lately. Come back to me in a few days and I'll teach you the techniques. Pu Liao walked up to Chen Fei, said a simple sentence, and then turned around to leave. After everyone left, Chen Fei breathed a slight sigh of relief, and this level was considered passed. If there is no cultivation in the realm of cultivating skin, a series of scolding and insults at this moment cannot escape. Because it has some value, these are all exempted. The clinic arranged a separate room for Chen Fei, although it was still very small, it was a world of difference compared to the original treatment. Chen Fei is quite satisfied because when practicing in this way, there is no need to worry about leaking anything. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. Except for standing guard in the lobby of the medical clinic to prevent anyone from causing trouble, Chen Fei spends most of his time practicing hiding in the room. 3 days is not long, but it is enough for Chen Fei to cultivate Jishan Fist to the level of great fullness. Combining the cultivation of the skin realm with the successful Jishan Fist, Chen Fei's combat power has increased by more than half compared to before. Even in the realm of practicing leather, Chen Fei's current strength is not inferior. After all, not all skin training environments can cultivate basic boxing techniques to the level of great fullness. The only thing that made Chen Fei somewhat dissatisfied was the increase in cultivation. In 3 days, the experience points of the skin training realm have only increased by 3 points. At 1 o'clock a day, Chen Fei gained 1,000 experience points in the skin realm. If he only relied on the extreme mountain breathing technique, it would take him 3 years to advance to the next realm. Chapter 5. Gangrene of Bones. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This speed is too slow. After all, Chen Fei is actually quite old now. The older he gets, the more difficult it is to increase his cultivation in the future. More importantly, after Chen Fei killed Qi Chun, the black line on his wrist has become increasingly thick. Status. Gangrene of Bones. A day ago, there was a new change in the panel, and the most intuitive change given to Chen Fei was that he felt his physical strength starting to accelerate and wear out. After breaking through to the realm of leather training, Chen Fei has made significant progress in both physical strength and sensitivity compared to before. But with the addition of this bony gangrene, Chen Fei found that his physical strength was almost the same as that of an ordinary person, and even worse. In this situation, Chen Fei dared not take it lightly. He immediately went inside the clinic, tapping and asking some doctors, and finally obtained a result. This is the mark under the eyrie. Either eliminate this eyrie, and this mark will naturally dissipate. Either one's own cultivation is strong enough to directly erase this mark. If not possible, you can also take pills that strengthen qi and blood to resist this negative force. That's strange. Chen Fei naturally dares not look for it now, and he can't afford the pill. The only thing left is to improve his cultivation. And Chen Fei dare not let the clinic know that he has been marked. God knows if the clinic will find it troublesome and will give him up directly. It's time to look for Pu Liao. In the evening, Chen Fei came to the door of Pu Liao and knocked lightly. Who? Pu Liao's hoarse voice came. Pu Tu, it's me, Chen Fei whispered. What's going on? The door opened and Pu Liao looked down at Chen Fei, without any intention of letting him in. Pu Tu, can we now have free time to teach the techniques of our Qingjing medical school? Oh, you're here for this matter. Pu Liao looked at Chen Fei with empty hands and couldn't help but feel a little dissatisfied in his eyes. His voice couldn't help but become louder. A few days ago, I didn't tell you that I've been busy lately. I'll teach you when I have time. How come you can't understand? I wonder when Pudu is available. There are so many things, how do I know? When I have time, I will naturally call you out. Pu Liao appeared somewhat impatient and waved his hand, saying, all right, if there's nothing else to do, I'll go back first. I have something else to do, so I apologize for not entertaining you. As the words fell, Pu Liao turned around and entered the room, closing the door. Just the door was blocked by one hand before it was closed tightly. You can't die. Pu Liao widened his eyes and looked at Chen Fei with malice. Pu Tu, I thought for a moment. You've been busy lately, so I can't disturb you either. I don't know if there are any secret techniques, but I can practice them myself. Chen Fei said calmly, as if he hadn't seen Pu Liao's expression. Chen Fei finally understood today that Pu Liao wanted money. But Chen Fei has only been transferred to the nursing home for 3 days now. Where did he get the money? And even the wages for guarding the courtyard are only 5 taels of silver per month. How could Pu Liao appreciate these 5 taels of silver? Since that's the case, let's just make things clear. Do you want to practice on your own? Ha ha ha. Pu Liao laughed loudly, his eyes full of ridicule. Breaking through to the realm of practicing leather in just over 4 months, this talent is almost the lowest among martial artists. Surprisingly, you still fantasize about relying on your own talent to practice higher martial arts techniques. It's simply a fool's dream, unaware of the vastness of heaven and earth. Okay, I have a cultivation technique here. Please return it to me before noon tomorrow. I won't be able to learn it myself, don't say that I, Pu Liao, bully others. Pu Liao returned to the house and took out 2 secret books, throwing them into Chen Fei's hands. With a sneer, he forcefully closed the door. Some people watching from afar couldn't help but shake their heads slightly as they looked at Chen Fei's back. As a newcomer to the nursing home, he dares to have a conflict with an old nursing home like Pu Liao. Do you still need to practice martial arts on your own now? If martial arts techniques are so easy to cultivate, what else does a master need to do? Without anyone to lead, the twists and turns in a martial art can easily lead people into detours, and in the end, they will find themselves wasting time and achieving nothing. What's even more terrifying is the kind of cultivation fork, which may be unable to progress for a lifetime and may even bring hidden injuries. In their eyes, Chen Fei is just a fool who doesn't understand anything. Chen Fei didn't pay attention to the people around him and returned to his own house with the secret code. After an hour, Chen Fei put down the secret script in his hand and began practicing 2 martial arts. Half an hour later, Chen Fei looked at the panel. Techniques. Qingfeng Sword, Beginner 1/100, Wind Suspension Strength, Beginner 1/100, Jishan Fist, Great Perfection, Jishan Breathing Technique, Great Perfection. With the foundation of De Yuanman's Jishan Fist and Breathing Technique, Chen Fei easily mastered the 2 techniques to the beginner level. The Qingfeng Sword is a technique for dealing with enemies, while the Wind Suspension Strength is a way to enhance cultivation. These 2 techniques can still be simplified on the panel, but the only difference is that the cost of simplification is a bit high, both require 10 taels of silver. Chen Fei doesn't have 10 taels, and now he only has over 2 taels of money, which is far from enough for simplification. Chen Fei looked at De Yuanman's breathing technique, then at Feng Xianjin, blinked his eyes, and instinctively wanted to integrate his breathing technique into Feng Xianjin. At the next moment, both techniques disappeared simultaneously, and a brand new technique emerged. Wind Suspended Breathing Technique, proficient in 107/1000, it's really possible. Chen Fei's eyes were filled with joy. Just now, he was following a feeling from zhaoshuyuan.com, but he didn't expect that the technique after the Yuan Man could really blend with other techniques. However, it is normal to think about it. After all, the cultivation method is very complete, which means that you have integrated everything of this cultivation method, know everything, and can naturally integrate it into other cultivation methods. In this way, even if Chen Fei's cultivation improves in the future, some techniques that cannot keep up will not be wasted. They can be combined with new moves to become more powerful techniques. Jishan Fist also blends with Qingfeng Sword. In this fusion, Chen Fei intends to preserve the essence of Qingfeng Sword more, but only incorporate some of Jishan Fist's powerful techniques. Qingshan Sword, proficient in 13/1000, originally a graceful Qingfeng Sword, it has transformed into a wide opening and closing sword technique, but its power is not weak at all, and it has also been enhanced. Half an hour later, after trying both new martial arts, Chen Fei's face was filled with joy, but there was still some dissatisfaction. I am delighted because both of the new martial arts have become stronger than before. If I practice them to the level of great perfection, I will definitely surpass the previous ones. After all, I am only proficient now. Not satisfied, it was Chen Fei who, after trying several times, found that his proficiency in the 2 martial arts had not improved at all. If Chen Fei were not simplified and practiced like this, he would probably only be able to grow by 1 or 2 points per day, thanks to the integration of the original techniques. This is probably the limit of Chen Fei's current physical talent. To break through this limit, it is generally difficult for Chen Fei to do so gradually. Money, money, money. Chen Fei's eyebrows furrowed as various ways of making money floated through his mind, making it difficult to make a decision. Chapter 6. Mud Legs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, after completing the task of standing guard, Chen Fei went to find the alchemist at the clinic. Do you want the elixir of qi and blood pill? Danfang looked at Chen Fei with some surprise. Is that okay? Chen Fei arched his hand and asked. After thinking for a whole day yesterday, Chen Fei finally decided to try alchemy. After all, this was also the original intention of staying in the hospital. As for medical technology, it is a complete system, and Chen Fei is not sure if the panel can be simplified. Even if it is possible, it is estimated to be a huge number, and Chen Fei is still short of money. Therefore, alchemy is more suitable. As long as Chen Fei learns to refine a type of pill, he will have a relatively stable income, and then seek higher level pills to form a virtuous cycle. You are the nurse of the hospital. It's not a big deal to give you a prescription for qi and blood pills. Danfang nodded and said, but it's just the most common qi and blood pill prescription, which doesn't include some unique techniques from the medical school. And if you want to open a furnace for refining, you must pay for the medicinal herbs yourself, and the medical school won't provide them for free. I understand that. Chen Fei nodded and said that the medical school would not provide medicinal materials for nothing until he proved his alchemy ability. Even if it is proven that pills can be refined, it still depends on the quality and texture of the final pill. If it is too poor, the hospital will not accept it. Well, take it and return it to me in 3 days. Danfang stood up, rummaged through the cabinet behind him, took out a booklet, and handed it to Chen Fei. Thank you very much, old man. Chen Fei bowed his hand in gratitude. It's okay. Danfang waved his hand and stopped paying attention to Chen Fei. Chen Fei was also witty and quietly left the pharmacy. Danfang looked at Chen Fei's back and shook his head slightly. Like Chen Fei, Danfang has seen many people who want to learn alchemy and possess a unique skill, but there are very few who can truly get started and refine satisfying pills. In Danfang's view, Chen Fei should also be a member of the mediocre group. Chen Fei returned to his room and carefully flipped through the prescription in his hand. After a stick of incense, Chen Fei put down the elixir in his hand and closed his eyes to recall what he had just seen. The content recorded by Danfang is not complicated, it only introduces the medicinal materials needed for refining, as well as some medicinal properties of the medicinal materials and precautions to be taken during refining. The Danfang is only a few thin pages, so many things are explained very briefly. To rely on such a prescription and refine the qi and blood pill completely, one must fail dozens or even hundreds of times before there is any possibility. And that's why you have good talent to succeed like this. If it's not suitable for eating this bowl of rice, even if you fail hundreds of times, you may not be able to get started. Because alchemy is actually like practicing martial arts, especially a person's talent. Sometimes you can do it, but if you can't, you can't. Alchemy. Qi and blood pill, beginner level, a new note appeared on the panel, and new simplified information was also flashing. Chen Fei's face couldn't help but show a smile, because the simplification of qi and blood pill only required 1 or 2 silver coins. Chen Fei chose the qi and blood pill as his first alchemy technique, and what he valued was the sufficient foundation of this pill. The more basic it is, the less silver is needed for simplification, which is the experience that Chen Fei has recently explored. Although qi and blood pills are basic, their audience is not small at all. Whether it's those martial artists who have just started practicing martial arts, or those who practice skin like Chen Fei, the qi and blood pill has a decent effect, which can make people have strong qi and blood, and better and faster practice martial arts techniques. Even in higher level meat cultivation environments, when facing financial difficulties, one may purchase qi and blood pills to take, but the effect is still somewhat weaker. Therefore, if Chen Fei could refine qi and blood pills, he would not worry about selling them at all. After all, among the martial arts community, there will always be more at the bottom. Panel, Simplify Qi and Blood Pills. Simplification of Qi and Blood Pill. Successfully simplified. Qi and Blood Pill Stir-fried pork liver. Chen Fei blinked his eyes, almost thinking he was mistaken. After simplifying the qi and blood pill, it turned into stir-fried vegetables, and it was also stir-fried pork liver. Is there any necessary connection between the two? Do both supplement blood and require the use of fire? Chen Fei was a bit confused about the meaning of panel simplification, but when he went from refining pills to stir-frying vegetables, Chen Fei's grasp suddenly became greater. Stir-frying is something that most people know, but it's just a difference in taste. Chen Fei is planning to go to the market tomorrow to buy some pig liver, while rumors about him are circulating in the clinic. There's nothing special about it, it's just that Chen Fei brought a prescription for qi and blood pills to Danfang, which spread and became a topic of discussion for many people during their leisure time. A few days ago, Chen Fei had a conflict with Pu Liao and was treated as a dumbfounded youth. Now I turn around and go get the elixir, hoping to become an alchemist, which makes many people overjoyed. Not only those who were also guardians of the courtyard were mocking Chen Fei, but even those servants who heard these two things felt that Chen Fei was ignorant of the world. Those miscellaneous workers used to be jealous and envious of Chen Fei, who was also a miscellaneous worker but now has become a guardian. Now that such things happen, they naturally enjoy mocking him. He doesn't practice martial arts well and even dreams of becoming an alchemist. Finding an alchemist at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com is something he can think of, just like a mud-legged person. It doesn't really matter. At the table, Pu Liao threw a few peanuts into his mouth, showing great disdain for Chen Fei in his words. Because he used to be a mud-legged person, now that he has the opportunity, he works hard to climb up. Unfortunately, he doesn't know about mud-legged people. Sometimes he can only be a mud-legged person for his whole life, his companion smiled. At first, I thought he could do some preaching, and I didn't mean I couldn't take him with me. But instead, he asked me for the secret script directly. If it weren't for being in the clinic at the time, I would have wanted to slap him in the face, Pu Liao said coldly. It's better for Brother Pu to cultivate himself. If it were just a few of us, we probably wouldn't be able to resist it long ago. Stop talking about him, just a laughing stock. Pu Liao waved his hand and said, there will be ways to treat him in the future. Do you really think that the secret script given by Pu Liao is so easy to accept? The rumors inside the clinic have not yet spread to Chen Fei's ears. At this moment, Chen Fei is in an abandoned yard, stir-frying pig liver over a fire. Pig liver is very fresh, all of which are newly bought in the market. After the stir-fry is over, Chen Fei plans to eat it himself. After all, it can also be considered fishy meat. After becoming a hospital nurse, the meals provided by the hospital have improved significantly, with some meat foam in the meals and some large meat every few days. But for warriors, especially those like Chen Fei who are extremely financially strapped, no hint of flesh and blood can be spared. In just a moment, a hint of meat fragrance emanated from the pot. In his previous life, Chen Fei actually knew how to cook. Although he could only make some home-cooked dishes, he naturally had no problem dealing with a stir-fried pork liver dish. Stir-fry, heat up, and plate. The steaming stir-fried pork liver was simply completed, and Chen Fei looked at the panel. Alchemy. Qi and Blood Pill, Beginner 1 out of 100. Chapter 7. Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The experience value of Qi and Blood Pill really increased by 1 point, and Chen Fei breathed a slight sigh of relief in his heart. There are indeed more insights in my mind about refining Qi and blood pills. In just a few bites, Chen Fei ate the fried pork liver in the plate, but didn't put a few pieces of pork liver into the pot. Anyway, I didn't say how much to use for stir-frying pork liver, so Chen Fei naturally picked up less. According to the previous purchase, Chen Fei can still stir-fry pork liver dozens of times now. But dozens of times, I still cannot cultivate the qi and blood pill to the level of proficiency. Chen Fei carefully cut off a little pig liver and threw it into the pot. Chen Fei wants to give it a try. How much stir-fried pork liver can it be recognized by the panel? After a moment, the stir-fried pork liver, which was almost the size of a fingernail, came out of the pot. Chen Fei's face showed a smile, and a little insight about the qi and blood pill appeared in his mind. Chen Fei looked at the remaining pig liver. Practicing hundreds of times was already enough. Powerful, Chen Fei enthusiastically immersed himself in the process of stir-frying pork liver, completely forgetting himself. After an hour, all the pork liver was stir-fried, and Chen Fei also ate a bit greasy. After all, they were all stir-fried pork liver, and Chen Fei's cooking skills were indeed quite average. But these are all secondary, and most importantly, the qi and blood pills displayed on the panel have reached proficiency level. Mastery level refining of qi and blood pills can ensure that every furnace of qi and blood pills can be successfully refined without the occurrence of furnace explosion and waste. It's just that the quality of the qi and blood pill cannot be guaranteed perfectly, but if sold, there shouldn't be much problem. Is it sold to a medical clinic or other shops in the neighborhood? Chen Fei pondered slightly. As the courtyard guards were relatively miscellaneous workers, their demands had undoubtedly been greatly reduced. We will no longer require any additional income to be attributed to the hospital. If there are such regulations, the nursing home may run out of money. However, if the nursing home has valuable items in their hands, it is best to sell them to the clinic, and the clinic will not mistreat the nursing home. But things like qi and blood pills are definitely not precious. Chen Fei hesitated, wondering if his display of alchemy would be too conspicuous. Sell to the clinic. After just thinking for a moment, Chen Fei made a decision. It's just a mere qi and blood pill, and it shows a certain value in moderation, so that the clinic can pay a little attention to Chen Fei. Chen Fei is now in a state of being completely marginalized in the hospital nursing home. This world is very dangerous. Chen Fei has already experienced it on Pinyin Mountain. If there is any dangerous task afterwards, the cannon fodder will definitely go first. People on the edge can easily become cannon fodder. Show the beginner level qi and blood pills first, and then show the proficient level after a while, so it won't be too exaggerated. Chen Fei made up his mind and tidied up the scene briefly before rushing back to the hospital and finding Xing Defang in the alchemy room. Just put the prescription on the table. Xing Defang looked up at Chen Fei and then lowered his head again to look at the medical book in his hand. He thought Chen Fei had returned to return the Danfang. Zheng Lao, I have tried refining qi and blood pills in the past 2 days and have succeeded. Chen Fei put away the elixir and said with a smile. Xing Defang frowned slightly and looked at Chen Fei with a hint of dissatisfaction in his expression, saying, I should have told you a few days ago that the clinic will not provide you with free medicinal herbs. Yes, I will pay to buy a medicinal herb for the qi and blood pill and refine it on site. I hope Mr. Zheng can give me some guidance. Chen Fei arched his hand. I'm not available, you can find someone else to guide you. Xing Defang pursed his lips. This kid is simply inexplicable. After reading the elixir for 2 days, he said he can refine qi and blood pills. Who do you think you are? Do you still want me to watch you refine, when I am so idle? And this kind of trick was used by someone a few years ago to get close to them, and the result was simply unbearable when mastered. Therefore, Xing Defang had no intention of contacting Chen Fei at all. He had originally felt that it was not easy for Chen Fei to be promoted from a laborer to a guard, and had developed a hint of pity. Now, all of them had disappeared completely. Zheng Lao, I don't need to joke about this kind of thing, nor do I have any intention of teasing him. Upon seeing Xing Defang's expression, Chen Fei guessed what the other party was thinking and couldn't help but sincerely say, I'll refine it later. If Zheng Lao sees any mistake in my techniques, he can stop me at any time, can he? Xing Defang is an elderly person from the Qingjing Medical Center, and with his recognition, others will not have any doubts. If Chen Fei wants to establish a foothold in the medical clinic, obtain more resources, and befriend Xing Defang, it is a relatively good way. Moreover, Xing Defang is known for his cold face and warm heart, willing to promote promising younger generations, otherwise Chen Fei would not have done so. Xing Defang looked at Chen Fei and couldn't help but soften his heart when he saw his serious expression. Okay, just refine it once. I want to see what level you really have. Thank you very much, Elder Zheng. Chen Fei couldn't help but smile on his face. He took out a medicinal herb of qi and blood pill from the package behind him and sat in front of an alchemy furnace. Chen Fei clumsily cleaned the alchemy stove, lit a fire, and added medicinal herbs. Xing Defang frowned slightly, and Chen Fei's technique was too unfamiliar, not at all like he could refine pills. But thinking that the other party only received the elixir for 2 days seems understandable, at least the basic steps are not a problem. Zhaozhuiyuan.com. The first few steps were unfamiliar, but Chen Fei remained calm. A proficient level qi and blood pill is equivalent to an alchemist who has been refining pills for several years. From the moment the medicinal herbs are placed in the pill furnace, everything enters Chen Fei's rhythm. Every change in the Dan furnace is in Chen Fei's response and anticipation. There are only a few medicinal herbs used to refine qi and blood, so there are not many changes in medicinal properties. By mastering these changes, one can grasp the result of every furnace producing pills. However, Chen Fei is currently unable to demonstrate a level of proficiency, which is a bit excessive. Therefore, when there are some changes in the elixir, Chen Fei deliberately did not make timely adjustments. This will affect the quality of the pill, but it will not cause a furnace explosion, which is a tolerable small mistake. Xing Defang looked at Chen Fei, initially skeptical, but now with a slight surprise, he was even more stunned. Of course, there are still many flaws in Chen Fei's refining process. If these flaws occur in other senior alchemists, they should be pointed out, criticized, and corrected. But for a newcomer like Chen Fei who has only been in contact with Danfang for a few days, it is completely normal. At this moment, Chen Fei's performance is already quite astonishing in Xing Defang's eyes. 15 minutes later, as the lid of the alchemy furnace was opened, a fragrance of medicine wafted in the alchemy room. Xing Defang involuntarily took a step forward and looked at the qi and blood pill handed over by Chen Fei. The pill is not smooth, and there are some unmixed medicinal herbs in the fragrance, but these do not affect the fact that it is a qi and blood pill. Xing Defang looked up at Chen Fei seriously, and the first thought that came to his mind was that Chen Fei had previously refined qi and blood pills. But soon, this idea was rejected. A miscellaneous worker, how could it have been refined before? So, does Chen Fei really have a strong talent for alchemy? Chapter 8. Teachable Children. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Refine another furnace of qi and blood pills. Xing Defang ordered the servants to take a medicinal herb of qi and blood pill and hand it over to Chen Fei. Chen Fei did not refuse, cleaned the alchemy, processed the herbs briefly, and then threw them into the alchemy. Compared to his previous unfamiliarity, Chen Fei's movements have become slightly more proficient at this moment. At the same time, Chen Fei corrected one or two of the alchemy mistakes he had intentionally shown earlier in this attempt. It was these one or two corrected mistakes that made Xing Defang's eyes slightly brighter while observing from the side. As time passed, a faint medicinal fragrance wafted out of the alchemy furnace. A quarter of an hour passed quickly, and Chen Fei opened the furnace lid and took out the qi and blood pills from it. Compared to the first qi and blood pill, this time the pill appears more rounded, and there are fewer unmixed medicinal herbs in it. In the eyes of outsiders, perhaps this qi and blood pill is no different from the one just now, but in the eyes of Xing Defang, the difference between the two is quite significant. Xing Defang looked at the qi and blood pill in his hand, then looked up at Chen Fei, his eyes already unable to conceal his appreciation. People are always willing to believe what they see, and Chen Fei was in front of Xing Defang, refining 2 rounds of qi and blood pills and making significant progress. This all proves Chen Fei's talent in alchemy, which is indeed rare to see. At least for so many years, there were very few who could match Chen Fei's talent in the Qingjing Medical School. Of course, at this moment, it cannot be said that Chen Fei is an alchemist. After all, it is just a simple qi and blood pill. But Chen Fei is already enough for the Qingjing medical school to cultivate and make mistakes. If Chen Fei can still refine other pills like qi and blood pills in the future, then the Qingjing medical school will really find treasure. You're very good. I didn't expect you to be able to successfully refine the qi and blood pill 2 days after seeing the elixir. With a warm smile on his face, Danfang said, but don't be proud either. These 2 qi and blood pills still have many flaws, and you need to practice well to better refine them. Thank you, Mr. Zheng. Chen Fei stood up and arched his hand. Continuing to be a caretaker may bury your talent. I will explain to Steward Chui that in the future, you can refine pills with me. First, explore the qi and blood pills thoroughly, and then refine other pills. Thank you very much for the promotion, Elder Zheng. Chen Fei's face couldn't help but smile, and his goal was finally achieved. Now, the silver has finally landed. An hour later, Chen Fei refined another batch of qi and blood pills in front of Cui Sanjie, which made Cui Sanjie somewhat overjoyed. Although it was an application submitted by Danfang, Cui Sanjie couldn't believe that a nursing home, which was previously just a laborer, could refine pills. But now seeing is believing, no matter how incredible, it must be admitted that Chen Fei has a talent for alchemy and is quite outstanding. Since that's the case, Cui Sanjie naturally had no reason to refuse Danfang's original proposal. The news of Chen Fei becoming an alchemist spread throughout the entire clinic in less than half a day, causing everyone to be shocked. Alchemist, this is a highly gifted skill. Like practicing martial arts, if 1 out of 10 people can achieve success in their studies, then alchemy may not necessarily occur among 100 people. Therefore, in the Qingjing Medical Center, the status of an alchemist is far from comparable to that of a nursing home. So, Chen Fei's position in the medical clinic has been elevated again, from a laborer to an alchemist, achieving a second-level jump in a few days, which has made many people envious and jealous. And they also heard that Chen Fei's talent in alchemy was quite outstanding, which alarmed Danfang and Cui Sanjie. Just thinking about it, I know that in just 2 days, looking at the prescription, one can self-explore and successfully refine the pill. If this talent is not outstanding, then what is considered outstanding? Previously, many people were still waiting to see Chen Fei's jokes, and even treated Chen Fei's affairs as a topic of conversation after dinner. But now he dare not talk like this again, afraid of being overheard by Chen Fei. Currently, Chen Fei naturally doesn't have much power, but who knows where he can grow in the future. It's not worth offending someone like this just to show temporary satisfaction. And now not only can't we offend, but we also need to think about how to flatter him. What if Chen Fei really soars to fame in the future? Damn it, this muddy leg is so lucky. At the table, Pu Liao slammed his cup heavily onto the table, making a dull sound. I heard that Zhang Lao valued him very much. A guard whispered, not daring to casually discuss Chen Fei with Pu Liao like before. Humph. Pu Liao snorted coldly and looked at the people around him. Seeing that they didn't cater to his words, he stood up and left directly. It's okay not to drink this wine, the more you drink it, the more stuffy it becomes. The other guards glanced at each other, unsure of what to say. The alchemist is indeed 1 level higher than their guardian status in the medical clinic. Relying on his own qualifications and cultivation in the realm of meat cultivation, Pu Liao found the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com to ignore Chen Fei to a certain extent, but they were not good at it. The next day, Chen Fei did not stand guard in the front hall, but carefully refined the pills in the alchemy room. Danfang stood aside and personally corrected the mistakes made by Chen Fei during the refining process. Chen Fei was a bit surprised. He didn't expect Danfang to value him so much. It was probably because of his talent that he showed, which amazed Danfang. Although there was some excessive force, fortunately the result was satisfactory. Chen Fei couldn't please Danfang either. He listened carefully to Xing Defang's explanation and corrected one or two of those mistakes in the next alchemy. Xing Defang saw that his professor was very effective, and the more he taught, the more excited he became, and his face turned red. Being a role model is like this. When encountering a genius-like disciple, the other person will do it at all, without you having to mention it for the second time. That feeling is quite fulfilling. Xing Defang has not experienced this feeling for too many years. At this moment, watching Chen Fei refine pills time and time again to make them better, it is even more joyful and proud than his own difficulty in refining pills. Very good, this qi and blood pill has already integrated all the medicinal herbs. Although the integration is not appropriate enough, it has made significant progress compared to before. Xing Defang looked at the pill in his hand with a smile on his face. Looking into Chen Fei's eyes, he was also increasingly satisfied. In his heart, Xing Defang had already regarded Chen Fei as half a disciple. It was taught well by Mr. Xing. Chen Fei promptly flattered, and Xing Defang's smile became even more brilliant. A child can be taught, a child can be taught. Chen Fei wore a smile. Although the words he just said were flattering, Xing Defang's level was indeed high. The panel shows that the progress of qi and blood pill has increased by more than 10 points, which is a clear evidence. Chapter 9. Matchmaking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the following days, Xing Defang was instructing Chen Fei on his alchemy techniques, and after hiding for a few days, Chen Fei revealed his mastery-level qi and blood pill technique. Xing Defang burst out laughing, feeling comforted in his heart, and even forcefully patted Chen Fei's shoulder. At this point, I have nothing to teach you about qi and blood pills. The next step is to see your understanding in the usual refining process. The technique of refining qi and blood pills by Xing Defang naturally goes beyond proficiency level. But after reaching the mastery level, there are basically no problems with the refining techniques, only some minor adjustments in the heat are missing. This kind of adjustment is difficult to express in words anymore, and requires alchemists to understand and practice on their own. And the proficient level qi and blood pill can now be put on sale normally, which means that Chen Fei can start making money. According to the agreement with the Qingjing Medical Center, Chen Fei can take 30% of the remaining profits from the qi and blood pills he refines every month, after deducting the cost of medicinal herbs. Is it less? There must be quite a few, and Chen Fei is quite satisfied with this result. After all, Chen Fei only needs to refine elixirs, herbs, shops, elixirs, and sales, all of which have nothing to do with Chen Fei. Backed by the Qingjing Medical Hall, Chen Fei only needs to carefully refine the pills. It can be said that this sharing ratio is definitely due to the efforts of Xing Defang, and only then can the Qingjing Medical Center provide such treatment. Of course, the sharing ratio of other alchemists is not much different. After all, alchemists are precious. If you don't give them enough treatment, they will just run away. Unlike nursing homes, although nursing homes are not easy to recruit, the base of martial artists is there, and they can always be hired with money. But alchemists, the base number is also placed there, it's not like you can just hire them. Xing Defang did not continue to follow Chen Fei. Chen Fei took some time to go out and improved the proficiency of qi and blood pills to a satisfactory level. Chen Fei was not in a hurry to brush the qi and blood pill to the perfect position, because the perfect qi and blood pill technique was already sufficient for Chen Fei's current refining requirements. Not only are the pills full, but there are also many pills produced in each furnace. It can be said that all the medicinal properties in the herbs are extracted without any waste. As for the De Yuan Man qi and blood pill, it is estimated that it is innovating and making the effect of qi and blood pill even better. This is naturally great, but with a proficiency requirement of 10,000 points, it's really not easy to complete it in a short time. Therefore, Chen Fei is not in a hurry, just take it slow. There was no one else in the alchemy room, and Chen Fei devoted himself wholeheartedly to refining every furnace of qi and blood pills. The only difference between a perfect Qi and blood pill and a mastery level 1 is the number of completed pills, while the other differences are not significant. Externally, Chen Fei naturally wouldn't show such a high level of alchemy, so he would eat the extra pills directly. The Qi and blood pill is truly a pill for ordinary warriors to take. One Qi and blood pill can increase Chen Fei's cultivation progress by 1 point. Chen Fei can take 5 Qi and blood pills a day, and with the increase in his own cultivation, his cultivation progress is 6 points a day. Even if the wind-suspended breathing technique is not simplified, I only need less than 5 months to break through to the realm of practicing meat. Chen Fei murmured to himself, feeling for the first time the power of pills, or rather the power of money. 1 or 2 silver coins can purchase 5 Qi and blood pills, which cost a month's salary for a regular hospital nurse in a medical institution. However, purchasing 20.5 Qi and blood pills is not enough. Therefore, the guardians rarely purchase Qi and blood pills for cultivation because they are too expensive. Only those who have the potential for martial arts will be willing to invest like this. And this investment must continue for several more years before the results can be seen. In Pinyin County, only those disciples from aristocratic families, or legitimate disciples like Jishan Fist School, can possibly catch up with Chen Fei's current practice by taking the maximum amount of Qi and blood pills every day. A powerful alchemist really earns money, and this is just a Qi and blood pill for me. Chen Fei shook his head slightly and threw a pill of Qi and blood into his mouth to refine, revealing a smile on his face. Chen Fei plans to withdraw some silver from the clinic in a few days to simplify the fusion of the two martial arts. Although relying on the Qi and blood pill, Chen Fei's cultivation progress is not bad now. How could he refuse to make himself stronger faster? And Chen Fei is always filled with an uncertain sense of unease about this world. After all, the previous life was a peaceful and prosperous era, and now in this world full of eerie and man-made disasters, it is difficult for people to truly feel at ease. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed in an instant. In addition to focusing on refining Qi and blood pills and practicing, Chen Fei usually takes the time to go out and brush up on the progress of stir-fried pork liver. In the dilapidated courtyard, while frying pork liver, Chen Fei actually found himself being tracked, but he didn't pay much attention. Who made him the most popular person in the Qingjing Medical Center now? Zheng Defang's fondness for Chen Fei was visible to everyone in the clinic, almost announcing that Chen Fei was his close disciple. In this situation, naturally many people are curious about how Chen Fei did it. Perhaps there is any special way. But those people don't know what kind of expression he would have when they saw him stir-frying pork liver in the courtyard. Stir-frying pig liver is not related to refining pills at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, otherwise those chefs in the restaurant would probably become masters of alchemy. These people can only attribute Chen Fei's stir-fried pork liver to his personal special hobby. Because apart from this, they really can't think of any other reason. Some people are unwilling and have been following Chen Fei for several days, only seeing fried pork liver every time. Moreover, every time Chen Fei stirs up, he only uses pig liver the size of a fingernail, making the audience numb. What kind of quirky hobby is this? It is not advisable to withdraw silver in advance, but I am aware of your situation. Therefore, after consulting with manager Cui, he has agreed. Here are 30 taels of silver, please keep them. The accountant handed the money to Chen Fei, who glanced slightly and a smile appeared on his face. According to the amount of alchemy that Chen Fei specifically controls now, his monthly income is about 50 taels, which is 10 times that of ordinary guards. How can this not make others envious? Now that we have agreed to withdraw 30 taels in advance, it is obvious that the clinic has seen Chen Fei's potential and understands his ability to repay, which is why he is so happy. Returning to his room, Chen Fei was slightly excited. Panel: Simplify the wind suspension breathing technique. Simplification of wind suspension breathing method. Successful simplification. Wind suspension breathing method, extreme mountain breathing method. Seeing the information displayed on the panel, Chen Fei was stunned for a moment, wondering how to simplify it to the original Jishan breathing method. Then Chen Fei thought of something and tried to run the originally round and full Jishan breathing technique. Then he saw that the experience value of the wind suspended breathing technique on the panel was +1. Good guy. Chen Fei's eyes widened, and this panel really exceeded Chen Fei's expectations time and time again, with a series of dolls coming up. Chapter 10. New Danfang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Jishan breathing technique, which Chen Fei had already practiced to the level of great fullness, was well integrated and could even reduce some steps from the original breathing rhythm. Although he had previously merged with the wind suspension technique, after the fusion, only a new wind suspension breathing technique emerged, which did not mean that Chen Fei had forgotten how to use the extreme mountain breathing technique. At this moment, as Chen Fei continued to operate the extreme mountain breathing technique, the experience value of the wind-suspended breathing technique began to rise, and insights about the wind-suspended breathing technique emerged one by one in his mind, making people involuntarily immerse themselves in it. An hour later, Chen Fei looked at the panel and couldn't help but smile. The experience value of wind-suspended breathing technique increased by over 100. Following this rhythm, Chen Fei only needed to work hard, and in about 2 days, he could elevate wind-suspended breathing technique to a perfect level. Even for a great success, it only takes less than a month. During this period, Chen Fei's progress will continue to accelerate and reach its peak in a month. Perhaps breaking through to the realm of meat cultivation will also compress from over 5 months to 2 to 3 months, or even shorter. Panel, Simplify Qingshan Sword. Simplification of Qingshan Sword. Successfully simplified. Qingshan Sword Jishan Fist. Looking at the information on the panel, as expected, it was simplified into Jishan Fist, and Chen Fei couldn't help but smile. If we simplify our martial arts in the future and it's like this, then we should try our best to cultivate each technique to a level of great perfection, so that we don't have to take any detours. Chen Fei murmured softly and got up to strike Jishan Fist. Straight, Jishan Fist does not have any complex changes in strength, but rather seeks a strong and heavy momentum, emphasizing the importance of reducing one's strength by 10 times. However, in a moment, the sound of a strong wind howling in the house was heard, and the experience points related to the Qingshan sword on the panel were also constantly increasing. More than 20 days have passed in a blink of an eye, and Chen Fei's life is relaxed and comfortable. Refine a few rounds of qi and blood pills every day, and then take some time to stir-fry pork liver, blinding those who are still tracking Chen Fei. In his spare time, Chen Fei didn't go anywhere else and just stayed in his room to practice his martial arts. The wind-suspended breathing technique and the Green Mountain Sword have both been completed, and there is still a little distance from the great perfection. However, the 2 techniques of the perfect realm have already benefited Chen Fei greatly. Relying on the perfect level of Qingshan sword, it is now difficult for ordinary warriors of the same level to compete with Chen Fei. Even when facing martial artists in the realm of practicing meat, Chen Fei is not powerless to fight back. This is the power of the perfect technique. After all, not all martial artists have the talent to cultivate a technique to perfection, let alone the realm of great perfection. Mastery level is the current situation for most martial artists. And Chen Fei, as long as he works hard, he can achieve great fulfillment. In this situation, how could Chen Fei not work hard? And with the continuous growth of cultivation, the burden brought to Chen Fei by the imprint on his hand is gradually decreasing. A few days ago, Chen Fei's wages were settled, which shook many people. I don't know if the clinic specifically did this, but Chen Fei's monthly salary of over 50 taels has shocked many people's chins. In fact, this amount is only slightly higher than the alchemists in the hospital. Chen Fei only knows how to refine qi and blood pills, which is relatively small, but it cannot withstand comparison from others. Think about a month ago, what was the situation with Chen Fei? He was a lowly worker in the hospital, and anyone who was unhappy could be beaten, scolded, or punished. His monthly salary was less than 1 or 2 silver coins. As a result, not only has my status increased, but my income has surprisingly increased by dozens of times. How can I avoid envy and jealousy? Chen Fei was not hesitant either. He spent 10 taels of silver to invite everyone in the clinic to a restaurant for a meal. Xing Defang and Cui Sanjie also specially supported him, which dispelled many people's jealousy. At the same time, more people began to curry favor with Chen Fei, and they had already recognized the fact that Chen Fei was no longer the small labor he used to be. A few days ago, Chen Fei had already cultivated the qi and blood pill to a state of great perfection. Chen Fei specifically asked Xing Defang for several more elixirs. Although Xing Defang felt that Chen Fei was acting too hastily and should have thoroughly consumed the qi and blood pills, he did not completely reject Chen Fei. Instead, he gave Chen Fei several elixirs to broaden his horizons. Xing Defang did treat Chen Fei as if he were his own disciple. If Chen Fei had any doubts on a regular basis, he could come and find him. The several elixirs presented this time have also been carefully selected. Yang Yen Pill, Jiedu Pill, Root Bone Pill, and Healing Pill. The Yang Yen Pill is just like its name. It has a long-lasting effect on maintaining beauty and is popular among some women, making it expensive. When sold, it is much more expensive than the qi and blood pill. Detoxification pill, usually a small poison, can have a relieving effect and is a necessary pill for many martial artists when going out. Root bone pill is a type of pill specifically designed for children who have not yet practiced martial arts to take. Practicing martial arts requires age and cannot be too young, as the roots and bones have not yet grown. Practicing martial arts too early is harmful and not beneficial. At this time, taking root bone pill every day can enhance a person's root bone talent and make the path of martial arts smoother. It is obvious that this kind of pill is prepared for the children of aristocratic families, because it is expensive and it is difficult for ordinary people to eat meat. How can one afford to buy this kind of pill? As for the final healing pill, go to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. As the name suggests, taking it after an injury can alleviate or even directly treat the injury in the body. Even if it cannot be cured, it can still have a suppressive effect. Unlike the previous conventional elixirs, these few elixirs have many notes in them, which can help beginners master and familiarize themselves more quickly. Chen Fei did not study all 4 types of elixirs, but chose to learn the 2 types of poison pills and healing pills first. The issue of money has been temporarily resolved, so Chen Fei's learning of elixirs is more about serving his future path of martial arts. After all, only by mastering powerful power can many things truly be protected. Simplification of detoxification pill. Successfully simplified. Detoxification pill stir-fried yam. Simplified healing pill. Simplified successfully. Healing pill stir-fried chicken. Yam clears heat and detoxifies, chicken is high in protein, and the simplified methods are quite reasonable. Well, I guess so. Chen Fei touched his nose and now he has some understanding of the principle of panel simplification. The simplified formula, which was still stir-fried, saved Chen Fei a lot of trouble. Chen Fei originally intended to merge the De Yuan Man Qi and blood pill with a new prescription, but in the end, it succeeded. However, the new prescription appeared somewhat unconventional. After all, qi and blood pills are used for cultivation, and detoxification pills and healing pills have different effects. The new alchemy that has been fused seems to have 2 functions, but it actually weakens the direction in which it was originally good. Even if this kind of prescription is refined into a pill, it is probably not easy to sell because others can buy targeted pills for consumption. Finally, Chen Fei dismantled the newly merged Danfang and simplified them separately. After obtaining the new prescription, Chen Fei enthusiastically returned to the process of improving his proficiency. In addition to the daily routine of practicing martial arts and refining qi and blood pills, the remaining time is spent on stir-frying vegetables.